needed to do this valuation. But if we had the information, we would have done some market price value transfer to have some monetary values for these services. So thank you very much for your participation to this game, and now we are going to see the results. So we see that there's a 2/3, 1/3 between the heritage value and the water purification service. On this side, the carbon sequestration is not significant compared to these two others. And two things on this side is the water purification service is the financial benefits. The company and the municipality are directly getting the benefits from this. The heritage value, this is more the whole society that have benefits outside of it. Regarding the robustness and the tangibility of the values, because the water purification service has been done with a market-based valuation techniques, it's more robust than the heritage value, where it's the willingness to pay of people that has been transferred from one study to another. So we have to take this into account within the use of the results we're going to do. But still, to have this kind of outputs is very important to have business take decision. So if we're going more into details in the financial benefits associated with the purification service, we see that these benefits in green represent 80% of the total cost of the site. Total cost means the operation expenditure, the capital expenditure, and the license fee, the water agency fee. But I believe that each euro that we spent on that site is not contributing the same to generate that benefits, and it's acceptable to think that the ecological management, so the operational expenditure part, is contributing the most. And if we look at this part, it becomes 16 times more benefits that it costs to operate the site. If we look at the whole ecosystem services on the economic basis, then it's more than 2 times, the benefits represent more than 2 times the total cost of the site. And if we make a focus on the ecological management, it's 45 times. So it's quite significant. So the way we gonna use these results within the company is first to raise awareness within the employees and other stakeholders. We're gonna try to improve the decision making at the site, to favor action that enhance the benefits that this study has brought to light, to try to integrate these ecosystem services in a more long-term management choice, and hopefully this will help within the discussion we will have in the future with our client for the renewal of the contract. On a more corporate level, we're going to try to use this study as an example first, to do some other studies elsewhere, and we're going to use this value to investigate how we could internalize at least a part of these external benefits associated to our activity, in order to change the business model of our activity, because water companies are facing today challenges that we are getting paid for the volume of water that we distribute or the volume of water we treat, and obviously that is not sustainable because the environment is more and more polluted. The service that we deliver is have a higher and higher quality, and the way we get paid doesn't reflect that. So we want to become less dependent upon the volume and to try to base at least a part of the money we get out of the quality of our activity, and within this quality there is the capacity we have to maintain or enhance ecosystem services and to maintain or enhance the societal benefits that has. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Well, we come to the last part of our journey, I can call it that, and we'd like to make things rather more informal than they've been up till now. So we'd like to get some views and some questions from the audience, and to have a kind of open discussion. And as part of that process, I'd like to invite Mark Wick from Dow to come up to the table. And as we go through our questions, maybe Mark, you might like to comment on your views and your experiences as well. But just before we get to you, can we ask if people have got particular questions that you'd like to ask? Eva, would you like to come up here and help us maybe answer?
I don't know if there seems to be a mic in the middle there, or is there a mic exactly? Okay, we go 1, 2, 3. Maybe it's your mic.
Hello.
Oh yeah, let's try it.
Hello, my name is Suzanne Method from Canadian Boreal Initiative in Quebec, Canada. We've been evaluating with the Pembina Institute ecological services the Canadian Boreal Forest provides in comparison to the extraction of it, the value of all resources that we extract. And the non-marketable ecological services exceed 3.8 times the extraction of the natural resources that are there. So visibly, nature provides greater value. And I would ask a question, we can use this, red or green, or just the green, if we were really asking the companies to pay the real cost of ecological services, would they be still in business? Yes or no?
Well, we can answer the question. I
Yes.
think, or 3, it depends. Maybe.
In general, so the people that think they could be still in business raise the green, and the one that think they would not be in business, the red. It's 50-50, huh? Incredible.
Yeah, but I think it's a really good question. It's that, but I think what we're saying is, if your business is to be around in the next 20 years, and will have integrated those costs, the only businesses that will be left will be the ones that are sustainable. That sentence was all mixed up, but essentially the ones that are left will be the ones that would have been integrating those costs and still be sustainable. And anyone have?
Well, I thought this could be a good opportunity to actually ask somebody from the business sector how they think things will be panning out in the future. If I could ask Mark to talk about his views on that subject, will you still be in business in the future if you do start incorporating external costs, negative external costs of production in your work, just in your observations?
Sure, I held up a green because I believe that companies will be in business if they pay for the externalities. In fact, we're going to have to. This is the whole point of our 5-year collaboration with the Nature Conservancy to improve how we as a company, and hopefully other companies as well, value ecosystem services. I'm delighted to have my colleague Jen Molnar here, who leads the Central Science Organization for the Nature Conservancy, who's working closely with us on how we integrate the value of ecosystems and their services into Dow's decision-making process across the board. starting with our pilot site in Freeport, Texas, which is not really a pilot site. It makes $10 billion worth of integrated chemical products every year and uses more water than the city of Houston. So it's just a huge situation where we have externalities that we want to bring internally. We believe that's the only way that companies are going to be sustainable long term. Now that means that prices will change, but prices will have to change into the future. If a liter of petroleum cost €10, then we would all be doing different things. And that's, I think, the point of sustainability into the future. We're going to have to change the prices on things. And if we can make proper pricing, that will help everyone make better decisions, including those of us in business. We can a lot of people in business will make the right decision based on moral grounds or the aesthetics or the intrinsic value of nature, but a far greater number of business leaders will make those decisions if it makes economic sense. And so we have to, as we work together as academics, as NGOs, as governments, as industry, make sure that we're putting proper prices on things.
Okay, you answered your question.
Is that one?
Thank you very much. I'm Yunus Yumte from Indonesia, Samdana Institute. Allow me to give 3 questions. I have 3 questions. The first for Mrs. Eva from Word, something like that. You, yes, for you. I like your presentation to capture how the business perspective and align it to thinking about ecosystem services. But there is another important aspect that sometimes we forget when we define terminology of ecosystems, which is in a social entity. I mean the community. You ask them, which one do you choose? I forget. I'm the one who said the owners. I'm the one who said the owners because they are dynamic entities. Sometimes we not find any good technique to value how their livelihood changing. So they're part of the ecosystem. So how you deal with this condition? If you just measure the value of ecosystem from the side of forest, land, or biodiversity. The first one, the first question. The second question is to the project in Brazil, the project Rio, something like that. Yes, yeah, I got to. This is still related to the first question. Can you give us a details information, or maybe you can share us how the dynamics approach that you use to measure the dynamic change of the ecosystems in terms of ecology, social and economic as a whole systems. Can you give us can you share us the good approach to how to measure this value in terms of ecology, economics and social changes? Because this is an ecosystem impacts if the big investment coming to certain place, for example. So there is a risk that we have to value and to get the right decision. And the last one is to Matthew. I'm in progress to develop my thesis as a master degree, so just find a scholarship also. But my concern also in ecosystem services. But the place where I will conduct my research is in Papua, Indonesia. There is a big oil and gas company, British Petroleum. Maybe you know, some of you know. They not conduct like holistic environmental assessment yet, especially to value the social dynamic changing. can you give me an advice? What techniques should I use to value the dynamic changing of the social? Because I mean, in Europe, the case I'm sure different with the place in a developing country like us. So it would be nice to get an advice from you how the technique. You have 3 techniques. So which one is appropriate for me to take? Thanks.
Thank you very much. I'll answer my question as I bring the microphone back, which is all about the social issues, and that's a really key issue. Natalie will talk more, but in an ecosystem valuation study, you do try to understand the distributional, you do a distributional analysis of where the benefits, who the benefits will go to, who the costs will go to. But maybe Natalie on the specific Rio case, because it was very interesting what you were saying, maybe just provide a little bit more.
Yes. I guess the important point about the Rio case is it is from a company perspective, and it is focusing on changes to ecosystems as a result of mining and dewatering. So there's a lot of science going into measuring those physical changes, and then the economic valuation work to try and feed the value of those changes back into decision making. In terms of social benefits, that falls a little bit outside of the bounds of this analysis because it's it's extremely important, but I think the social benefits are dealt with in another way. For example, Rio Tinto, I know, has an employment policy which targets hiring local communities, people from local communities, and training them up to work in mines and so on. There are analyses that can be done about the multipliers throughout the economy to look at the broader employment and broader economic and social benefits from particular investments. But this type of ecosystem valuation is quite microeconomic. It's looking at a particular investment decision by a business which has environmental impacts. I think you can feed this information into broader environmental and social impact assessment, or into broader accounting tools and methods for managing impacts, but the ecosystem valuation is really focusing on well-defined biophysical changes to ecosystems. It's not a tool for everything, it's one tool amongst many.
It means that we are like aware that there is a social risk that community will have, but we don't want to find approach to get the win-win solution to solve these conditions.
I think we've definitely understood, we need additional tools for the social side that it deserves. Matthew, did you have anything to add, or difficult question?
Yeah, I really don't know what valuation techniques will be relevant for that project, because you have to be on site and to investigate in detail what's the situation to know what's the situation. So.
Yeah, sorry, I'm being a bit rude here. What did we say, Nick? 2 more?
2 more questions, yes.
There was someone at the back. Yeah, you were. 1, 2.
Chris Dickens from the Institute of Natural Resources in South Africa. Everything that's been said is very reasonable when there's a very obvious relationship between society and aspects of the ecosystem. But I really want to ask about where there is no obvious relationship, where, for example, there's species which nobody's interested in. Does this mean they just get dumped? But then, if you sort of take a completely different perspective, the Convention on Biodiversity has adopted a precautionary principle saying that we cannot afford to lose any species. Now that means that those species have an inestimable value, how do you put that into your economic model?
Perhaps Mark would. We don't have enough mics.
I suppose I wouldn't say that everything is ever going to have an estimable financial value. There's certainly going to be some things that we cannot place an economic value on. However, the more we can translate into economic value, the better off we're going to be to broaden the number of stakeholders that will see it as valuable to preserve biodiversity, to preserve functioning ecosystems. So it is some hard work, but I would encourage us to be as creative as possible to try to figure out how we can translate these things that we think we can't value into some kind of terms where we can help people understand them. Some people will understand the intrinsic value of a species that you can't really place their role in an ecosystem service. But to the best of our ability, let's try to broaden the stakeholder audience that will understand what we need to do to protect biodiversity and ecosystems by placing values as much as possible on ecosystems and those services. That would be my plea.
Yes, from the NGO point of view, we see very much also a little bit the danger to put the focus mainly on the ecosystem services which are eminently useful for the companies, and the rest is not interesting or not so much interesting, and therefore not put it